Drawing insects and animals. Art lesson with Ms. Boley. What are we doing? We're going to be drawing and coloring a drawing of a bee, a butterfly, a spider, and a bat. And we're going to start by doing the bee. So why are we doing this? We're trying to develop the eyes of an artist. We're also trying to make our drawings look more realistic by using contrast, shading, and overlapping. We don't expect them to be like a photograph, but we're just trying to increase our realism. We're also trying to show our understanding of symmetry through our artwork and to show what we know about insects and animals through our artwork. So you will need a picture of a bee to look at, which I've provided. You're going to need paper or your visual journal, a pencil and an eraser, and then whatever colorful materials you have available. So that could be markers, pencil crayons, and anything else. And a pencil sharpener is also helpful to have, especially when coloring with pencil crayons. Here are some words that you might need to know while you're doing your drawing and while you're watching the video. So I talked about making our artwork look more realistic by using these specific things on the screen right now. So shading is when we use a darker color to try to show, or darker value, I guess, to try to show 3 dimensions on a 2-dimensional piece of paper. So we might use darker pink on top of a lighter pink to make that shape look 3-dimensional. So I'm going to show you some ways that we're going to use shading in our bee drawing. We might use overlapping. So we would have parts in front and parts in the back. So for example, in our bee drawing, the wings are overlapping the bee's legs. Contrast is where we put 2 dark and light things together. So we're going to be using contrast with our shading. And finally, symmetry. So symmetry is when something is the same on both sides. And bees are pretty much symmetrical. Their bodies are the same on both sides. So we're going to be keeping that in mind as we're creating our drawing. All right, so we're gonna do the bee first. Let's get. So I'm set up and I'm gonna start by drawing with pencil. And I'm just gonna block in some simple shapes for the bee's body parts. So this is the bee's head, and I'm just gonna use a flat oval shape for the bee's head. And then for the bee's thorax, it's going to be a circular shape. And I'm using pencil because I'm gonna be adding some more detail later with a marker. Okay, and now I'm gonna do the bee's abdomen by drawing a long and big oval. Okay, and I'm just doing my best to make it symmetrical. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just do a light line, pressing with not very much pressure because I'm gonna erase this later so that I can see if I'm being successful at creating symmetry in my drawing. So I can match both sides. Okay. So now that I have my bee's body all mapped out, I'm gonna start to draw the antennas. So I'm gonna do a little bump, kind of like a long and skinny U shape popping out on both sides, right? Whatever I draw on one side, I'm gonna draw on the other. And then I'm gonna extend that U shape by drawing another long skinny U shape on top. Okay, now I'm going to draw the bee's legs. So the bee has 6 legs. So I'm gonna draw, again, a long skinny U shape, but this time just a little bit fatter. And I'm gonna draw these little segments of the bee's legs. So I am using a reference image. I'm seeing these 3 little bumps. So I'm just gonna draw 3 little bumps. So, okay, U shape, another U shape, and then 3 small mini U shapes. You can't see because my hand is blocking. And then a little M shape for kind of like little pinchers on the ends. Let's zoom in. Okay, so now I'm gonna keep drawing the rest of the leg. So I'm gonna put a little dot where I'm gonna be placing the second leg and the third leg. Okay, and I'm just going to, again, I'm looking at my reference image. I'm gonna go ahead and draw a big bump. These legs are gonna be kind of pointing downwards. The other two are pointing upwards. So I'm doing that upside down, long, skinny U shape again. Another upside down, long, skinny U shape. And another one. And then I can see that that one had a tiny little section at the end, so I drew that. So this leg has 4 sections and one of them is really small at the bottom. Okay. For these bottom legs, they're pointing down as well, and they have 3 sections as well. But then I'm gonna do those mini bumps just like I did with the top legs, and the upside down M for the little sort of pincer on the end of the bee's feet. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm trying to make that leg just as long as the other one. So whoops, I made that one a bit too short, so I'll just erase it. And I'm trying to measure. So it is actually helping me that I'm able to compare one side to the other. It's helping me with my drawing. So now I have to figure out the wings. So I'm looking at my reference picture and it looks like they come out in between that top leg and the middle leg. And I'm gonna just try my best, but if I don't get it right the first time, that's okay. I can erase and start over. And another thing I like to do is just draw right on top of the line that was kind of like my mistake, so that I can tell where I had drawn it before and where I didn't want it before. So what I'm doing is I'm just like taking my time trying to figure out and look at the reference picture where the bee's wing would be coming out. So what I did was I started at the bottom where that thorax circle was, and I came out and I did one little bump, and I did a second little bump, and then a third little bump, and then around. And I think that that's looking pretty good, like the reference, but then I noticed there was kind of a little curve in the shape of the wing. So I'm doing my best to observe the picture of the bee as I'm drawing. So there we go. That wing is all good to go, I think. And now I'm just gonna try to duplicate that on the other side. So I'm gonna measure kind of where the wing will come out and where it will end and where the bottom will be, just to help me out. I'll do that bump, the big bump, and then the smaller bump, and then the third smaller bump. So there's the bump, there's second bump, there's third bump. Okay. And we're not aiming for perfection, but we are definitely aiming for detailed. So I want to be able to notice that you have looked at the reference picture and you've really noticed those small details. All right, I'm done with my pencil now, I think. No, sorry, I'm almost done. I'm gonna now draw the stripes on the bee's abdomen. So these are gonna be the black stripes that I'm drawing. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I curve my lines so that I am showing that the bee has a round abdomen, right? The bee's body, that bottom part is actually rounded, so it wouldn't make sense to put straight lines across it. I'm gonna curve them up. Okay, now I'm done with my pencil and I'm gonna go with my markers now and I'm gonna make an outline. So I'm using a Sharpie marker. If you're using a Sharpie marker, make sure that you put a piece of paper underneath your paper so that it doesn't go through and ruin your table. So I'm not just tracing around the lines I drew. I'm actually doing a zigzaggy line to show the bee's fuzzy body. So he does have quite a bit of fuzz on there. So what I'll do with my marker is I'm just gonna do a zigzaggy line everywhere on the bee's body that I'm noticing that fuzziness. So that is going to represent the fuzziness. So I see that this part of the abdomen is actually kind of smooth, and then it fuzzies out more at the bottom. So zigzaggy lines, and then all the way up with a smooth line. And I'm just going to color in those stripes on the bee's body. So I'm going to speed up that part, but I'm basically just using my marker to color in those dark stripes. All right, and now I'm just going to continue on with outlining the legs and the wings using my Sharpie marker. So I will again fast forward that as well. And when I get to the part about coloring in, I will slow down and talk some more. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about actually is the wings, the lines and the patterns that I can see on the wings. So I didn't draw them in with my pencil because I wanted to wait until I was using marker to do that. But what I'm doing now is I'm doing my best to look at the wings. It's kind of hard to figure out what the lines are, which ones I should draw, because there's so many of them. So I'm just kind of drawing like a few of them. And what this is reminding me of is kind of like a leaf, but a bee's wings are just slightly different. So I'm taking my time and I'm just dividing up the wings and observing, looking at my reference image as best as I can. So go ahead and add some of those detail lines to your bee's wings. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my eraser, just gonna erase those pencil lines that I did before. It might be kind of hard to erase them depending on how dark you drew them, but just do your best. We're going to be coloring over them anyways, so if some of them don't come off, it's all good. So now I'm going to be using my markers, and my pencil crayons. So I'm choosing a brown color, and I've also chosen a purple color. So for my shading, I'm going to use purple because it is a complementary color to yellow. And so when I shade on top of yellow with purple, it's going to look brown, but it'll be like a more vibrant kind of brown. So I'm kind of just trying to make some decisions about what to do. I looked at the reference picture of the bee. I noticed that the legs were quite dark, like almost black, and I hesitated to color them in black because I didn't want to, I wanted all of my details that I had drawn with my black marker to show up. So what I've done is I've chosen a dark brown marker. So you could use a dark brown marker, dark brown pencil crayon. I'm going to use this to color the legs. So let me fast forward that and we'll join back up once we have our legs colored. All right, now I'm going to tell you a super cool art tip. So I'm grabbing a white pencil crayon and I'm going to use it to do a little highlight on the dark brown marker that I just colored. So I'm just doing a little line right on the bottom of the legs, and that's because I'm seeing some shininess on my reference picture. I'm going to do that for each of the legs. So try that tip out. It'll make your drawing look really three-dimensional. Okay, so now I'm picking my purple pencil crayon, and I'm going to do something with the wings. So what I've decided is I'm just going to shade them a little bit. You could use yellow for this as well, but I just thought purple would be kind of interesting. Just using really light pressure to just do a little bit of shading on the bee's wings. Just so that I just want the viewer to know that the wings are on top of the body and the legs. So I'm not even gonna color the whole entire wing, I'm just doing it close to the bee's body and a little bit over on this side. So I'm gonna fast forward the video while I do that, and you can also do that. Alright, so I'm going back with my brown marker and I'm coloring in those stripes a little bit more because my black marker was actually running out. And now I'm going to color the bee's head. So there are some details on the bee's head, like the eyes and stuff like that, but in my reference picture I wasn't actually able to see that as well. So I'm just going to kind of color it all dark brown. But I'm leaving a tiny little piece white because I'm going to color that yellow later. See that tiny little sliver of white that I left at the top? Now I'm going to use my yellow marker and I'm going to color that area. So I'm going to color the whole body of the bee yellow with my marker. And you're welcome to use pencil crayons or whatever materials you have available at home. This is going to take a while, so let me fast forward. I'm doing my best to not leave white spaces in between my marker strokes. So let's meet back once we've colored up our bees' bodies. Okay, so now for my shading, I'm going to get my purple pencil crayon and so I can see on my reference picture, the bee has like this dark area in the middle of the thorax. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my pencil crayon to create sort of like a starburst sort of shape, like a circle, but it's kind of like coming, my lines are coming out from the middle of the circle. So they're radiating out from the middle, and I'm making the center as dark as I can, and I'm making the middle a little lighter and then the edges the lightest so that it's kind of blending in with the yellow. So that's what I'm doing there, and that's because I can see on the reference image there's that dark circle in the middle of the bee's thorax, and then it blends in with the yellow fuzz. So I'm doing heavy pressure in the middle with my pencil crayon. I'm pressing hard with my pencil crayon in the middle, and I'm pressing light with my pencil crayon on the edges. So I'm doing my best to do some blending with my pencil crayon. Okay, so now I'm doing the shading. So I'm taking my pencil crayon and I'm making a dark shaded area with my pencil crayon around the bee's abdomen, on the edges of the bee's abdomen. So what I'm trying to do is make this look three-dimensional, because the bee's abdomen is rounded. So I'm trying to make it look rounded by making it just a little bit darker on the sides. So I'll take my pencil crayon and I'm using kind of dark pressure, or heavy pressure to make dark shading, but then I'm blending it into the yellow. So I don't want the whole thing to be brown. I just want the sides to be brown, and I want it to blend in with the yellow. All right, now we're gonna do that art tip with the white pencil crayon one more time. So I can see some little highlights, some little light spots reflecting light. So I'm just going to use my white pencil crayon on top of my brown marker, and I'm going to do those. And then I noticed on the bee's body, on those black stripes, there are Oops, I'm just gonna darken them up a little bit more with my marker. I'm looking closely, I am seeing some white areas on those stripes. So I'm just going to add those in, sort of over to the side of the bee's abdomen. And there we go, it really makes it look like it's popping out. So try out that art tip with that white pencil crayon. I think you'll really like it. All right, and that's my finished bee drawing. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and I can't wait to see your drawings. Thanks for watching.